I'm really excited about this event. I've been working with the Adobe Premiere Pro team for the past year. I met with them last summer, and they were introducing me to some of their new tools that they wanted to like teach filmmakers about. And I pitched this idea where, what if I got 5 NFFTY alumni who had already been working on projects for the next year, and then I can have them like track how maybe they've used these tools and see how it helps with their productions. And that's what we did. NFFTY interviewed a bunch of our alumni to kind of hear about projects they were making, what they were working on. And these were the group of filmmakers that we had selected. So all the filmmakers you'll see tonight have had films at previous editions of NFFTY, some of our all-star alumni. And most of their films, I believe, are all done. I'll let them talk about it. They're laughing because I said all-star alumni. You guys are all-stars. So yeah, I tried to make sure that we had like a good breadth of different styles. We have some international films in here, music videos and everything. But you know what? I'm going to let them talk about it. So I'm going to introduce Duncan Dickerson, a local Seattle editor who will be moderating the conversation. And let's have a round of applause for everybody as they join up here.
Thank you, Ryan. Hello. My name is Duncan Dickerson. I'm a local filmmaker and editor here, and I will be your industry professional for this moderation. Like Ryan said, we're going to just focus on a couple of very helpful, time-efficient, and very accessible tools that Premiere currently has right now for making post-production smoother and easier for whatever level of filmmaker you are. Before we get into it, let's introduce our filmmakers here. So let's hear your name, where you're from, and the name of the project that you worked on.
My name's Rudy. I'm a colorist. Thank you. Based in LA, and I'm representing the Hide and Seek film. It was the second one for the director Victoria Vasconcelos. So yeah.
Hi guys, I'm Chris. I'm based in New York, and I made Danny, the first one about a YouTuber.
Hi, my name's Mar. I made the film Terms and Conditions, which was the black and white film.
Hi, I'm Laura Holliday. I'm a filmmaker and musician, and I was in the music video and produced it with Anna, and I was also a consulting producer on the feature Disfluency.
Hi. Sorry, it was too close to my face. Hi, I'm Anna Baumgarten, and I am the director of Laura's music video, Vigilant, and I'm also the director of Disfluency, the feature.
Great, great. So the first tool we're going to talk about today is text-based editing. And basically what that is Premiere will auto-transcribe your footage when you bring it into the program, and it'll allow you to edit video as if you're editing a document, like a Word document. And it'll then sort of mirror your text edits onto the editing timeline as if you were cutting. And we have a couple filmmakers who use that, and we're going to watch a little supercut of how they used it for their films.
So now what I'm going to be doing is demonstrating some of the text-based editing functions. We're now at an earlier point in my film. One of my characters is describing how he broke his computer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Help. I'm going to search for transcription. I'm going to make sure that this automatically transcribed clip box is checked. And I'm going to make sure that this text panel is clicked. And I can see that because I've clicked automatically transcribe clips, basically everything's been transcribed. So, for example, we can listen to this section of the film and follow along in this text-based panel.
No, it's not. It's like 6 years old. That is 1 trillion years old in generation.
And I can jump around to a specific place in the transcription, and it will take me to that place in the edit, which is extremely helpful.
Okay, so this right here is our picture lock cut, and the audio file is our latest sound pass. And we are in pretty advanced stages of editing here. There's no color in this cut, but after I heard the recent audio with the picture lock cut, it occurred to me that it could be interesting to delete a couple of lines from certain scenes, This doesn't come from the desire to remove the visuals, but rather to try things out without certain lines. So because of that, I'm gonna go ahead and try the transcript, script to text editing that Adobe Premiere has. This is the line that I want to remove. It's the line that this character says. So I'm trying to remove this line, start the scene with him looking at the fish, and then cut straight to the mother, like her reaction. I'm gonna go ahead and select this and delete it. Okay, sweet. Let's see how that turned out.
Menina, a gente veio de Recife. Por que não passou o dia com a gente, não, é? Oh, desculpa, manhã. Eu realmente vou ter que ir. Não tenho como adiar. Tu não vai comer, não, Bi?
Oh, okay. So I think I deleted a little bit more than I wanted, so I'm just gonna go back and... Oh, okay, that's why, because there's a couple of seconds here that I accidentally deleted, and I want these seconds. Yeah, which is her reaction. So I'm gonna go ahead and do it again, but be careful this time and not delete the seconds. Okay, there it is, and here's the cut now. It goes from him to her. Okay, nice. Nice, this works well.
Hey everyone. Just going to show you really quick how we're using text-based editing to cut this music video. So we have the Adobe auto transcription over here, because what we're going to do is just use the text-based editing to cut out the chatter at the beginning of clips so that we just have the lyric parts to work with. What we're going to do is throw the clip into a sequence. It's just that clip. We go over here, and then we can just highlight the text that has to do with the kind of pre-roll chatter, and delete, and it should just start where the song starts for the take. So then what we're going to do is drag this sequence, drag it down to this trimmed clips bin. So that's got all of those in it.
What's up, gamers? So basically, for Danny, we had these prank scenes where it was probably 20, 30, 40-minute long continuous takes of our lead, Mateo, in character as Danny wreaking havoc on people at the Boston Common. I used text-based editing to kind of get our first rough cut out. The thing is I had a rough cut within, a week, and I was able to show this to my crew. I was able to show this to my DP. With text-based editing, I transcribed these prank scene clips. I could just literally highlight. I can drag the image here and drag it down, and it's the one that's selected. But something that I like to do was put everything on the timeline, and that way I can have everything here. I really love this bit.
Oh my God, wait, I have something very important to tell you. Can you stop for a second? Please, just one second. What is it? Do you want to choose it? Sure. Yeah? Yes. Great.
There's some takes where, like right here, it's like 40 seconds of no talking, and I could just cut this out by simply clicking on this and then like just backspacing it. But yeah, that's essentially how I use text-based editing to speed up our workflow.
Very cool. So out the gate, for those who used it here, how did it feel for the first time editing text versus, using the slice tool in the timeline?
It felt intuitive for me because I feel like I'm a writer a little bit first, so I think, and just like after the shoot, knowing where remembering things that people said and like being able to see it is really like it's just visual. So it was nice.
Yeah, I was just gonna say we didn't have an AE, as a lot of indie projects don't have all of the crew you would like to have. So for the music video, this really helped. It helped us organize, and we were able to kind of cut out the tops and bottoms of all the clips and get them organized a lot quicker than if we had to go through all the footage. Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess with that, like, how do you see this affecting speed of editing and your workflow in post-production?
Yeah, so like I edited my short, and we shot in a single day, and it was supposed to be a 2-day shoot. We got rained on, and I knew I wanted to do pickups, but our actor was gonna go and do like a different production soon. So I used like text-based editing that, like I said in the video, I got like a rough cut within like, maybe honestly like half of a week. And then I was able to show it to everybody. I brought it to set, and then we could kind of like brainstorm what other pickups we might want. But yeah.
That's amazing.
I just want to say, even when you're working on different types of projects, a lot more dialogue based, it just really speeds up that ability to, okay, that's exactly when I want to portray to my audience, and cut out all the fat, straight to the point. You don't have to watch the clip back 100 times and really get in there and decide. No, it's right there. Even the pauses, as you guys saw, like the pauses, it'll just document it, bam, out that quick. Yeah. There's no messing around.
Yeah, totally. How do you think it's going to affect like non-scripted things? Like, I know Chris and Danny, there's a lot of improv and stuff like that. Do you think that this is going to be something that is used in non-scripted formats as well?
Oh yeah, big time. The house I worked at a few years ago, they were working on a kind of docu-series interviews with a company, and they literally just sent the transcription script off to the client, and they came back to us and said, this is what we want to say. Loaded it back into the Premiere, one of my editors did, and we had it out the next day. It was that quick. Yeah.
Wow. So they took the script, and then you just like copied and pasted it.
Yep,
back
literally
into
just a copy paste kind of situation, and had the cut done within a week. Client was happy, loved
That's
it.
That's amazing.
So.
Before we move on to our next tool, what do you see as being the biggest benefits of text-based editing to people who are just starting to edit, who have never edited before? Do you think it's a good way to start, or do you think it's maybe more of a tool for someone who's a little more familiar with the process?
I think it's a little bit, that's an interesting question actually, because the way we edit, I feel, or at least the way that I edit, it changes depending on the tools that are available to me. And although I maybe intuitively edit Premiere using the timeline, the availability of these text-based tools may change what's the preference of editing style for the editor that's cutting the film. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
I working on this with a music video, it's been a little bit different, but I also do sketch comedy and stuff that's highly improvised, and could just see myself using this a ton, because I think it is really intuitive to take something from a script and know your dialogue better than like the timeline of your film. You may know that part of it more intuitively and off the top of your head. So I think it can speed things up a lot, even if you're not super familiar with editing.
I work in unscripted TV as a development producer. So a large part of in everything from like crime docs to game show space to docu-soaps. And a big part of my job is interviewing people for like hours. Like I have like 3 to 4 hour interviews, and I can't tell you how terrible the process has been, going back and forth with like my boss who's like, well, did they say this one line? And there's also a search feature on here. Oh, yeah. You can like type in words just like a Word doc. It functions a lot like a Word doc. And I have to do paper cuts for a lot of things. So I have to string together sentences and pull time codes. And that would like take me the entire days to do. And this, like, you could do it in hours, if that. So this, I feel like, is a big game changer for the unscripted space. And also a lot of, as some of you may know, a lot of professional spaces use Avid. So I would be on the sly, like, taking things out of Avid and like putting them in Premiere, and then like transcribing and doing all these things. Awesome. Yeah, because it's so helpful, and there's nothing quite like it out there.
Yeah, good for collaboration too, it seems.
Yeah,
for people who have no idea what a editing program looks like.
Yes.
Cool. So the next tool we're going to be talking about is auto captioning. So as you saw in some of those examples, the auto transcribing feature can translate the text from your transcribed video file and put it into different languages, and through that they can make automated captions that you can edit and put into the video or export and send to a festival like NFFTY. So let's go see some some auto caption examples next.
Okay, cool. So this is our picture lock cut and our final sound pass. And I need to create some captions. I've done this in English a couple of times, but our movie was shot in Brazil. It's a Brazilian short film, and it's all spoken in Portuguese. And every time that I tried to use the transcript to caption tool, it has never quite worked, but I realized that there's something that I need to do, which is go to transcription and make sure that the language is Portuguese. In the past, my default was English, and I could not understand why the captions were so bad when I was trying to caption something or to transcribe something in Portuguese. So I go here and I go straight to text. This is a good moment. The scene is inside a market, so there's tons of people speaking, and one really good thing about this is that Premiere understands that the main action comes from here. These actors are both mic'd, but you can still hear a conversation, like it audibly. You can still hear dialogue that doesn't come from them, and that just the good thing is that none of that is reflected in the transcript. So that's pretty good and saves me a lot of time. You can't quite hear this, but yeah, this is perfectly synced.
We are going to use the transcript to make captions for my feature. How I'm going to test this out is going to use this little clip here, and it automatically is transcribing over here. I'm going to go to captions and then just create captions from this transcript. Now I'm going to test out this little scene.
And then pinch the top, and then do a little flip. Pack it down. Yeah, look at that. You're a natural.
Okay, cool. So pretty close, but I'm gonna go back to the top here. Yeah, do a little flick. I am really impressed with the accuracy of like the timing of these.
And
I still have the ability to, like, if I want to add a caption here, so filler words are a big thing in the movie, so I want to make sure we get every little all of that. Perfect. What's really great about this is I can go to Essential Graphics, I can highlight all the captions, and then I can like make changes to them all at once. If I want it a little bigger, if I want to change the font, move it up, move everything up all at once, it's great. But then if I wanted to do something individual to them, I can do that as well. I can lengthen them. This is so much easier than using a third-party tool. Okay, now just for fun, I'm gonna see how long it takes for Premiere to transcribe my whole feature film and get captions that way. 7 minutes. That was pretty quick for a 90-minute film. We're actually currently working on the trailer, so I need to pull time codes. My brain doesn't work in numbers, it works in words, and this search option makes it really easy for me to get to certain parts of the script because I know the script like the back of my hand, but I don't know all the time codes like the back of my hand. So I can do Big Pine. It'll take me to that section and it will show up over here, which can save a lot of time when I'm just trying to get somewhere in the cut. Super stoked to be using this for our captions and organization for Disfluency.
What's up, gamers? I'm back. I actually wanted to try out something. So I already did this before. I didn't get to mess around with it, but basically Mateo does a bit in the film that he came up with where he just speaks gibberish to strangers. So let's see if it can speech to text that.
Can I ask you a question? My lawnmower, man. No, and then like, I didn't pass my class yesterday. You've got an ant on your head. You have an ant on your head. You got the waffle. Eggo waffle. What? Oye, el otro día estaba caminando.
I remember this bit.
Luego se me salió los zapatos y luego empezó a llover.
That probably is such a shock to that guy. Oh, wait. I kind of want to see. I can transcribe in other languages, right? Let's do, try Spanish. Oh my god. Wait, that's so sick. Okay.
El otro día estaba caminando. Luego se me salió los zapatos y luego empezó a llover. Y me cayó una gota en la boca. Dile a mi mamá que estoy bien, por favor. Tal vez te veo en el desierto.
I don't know what he said, but I kind of want to translate it now.
Pegó un carro así.
Right? That was cool. Yeah, I just have fun messing around with it.
Awesome. So I'd love one of you to tell us sort of what your experiences were like before a lot of this auto captioning, auto transcribing technology was around, when you were submitting films to festivals that needed captions or SRTs and stuff like that, and how this sort of compares.
I'll go first because I work at a post house and we're always waiting on like caption files. And so I can only imagine like what it was like a couple of years ago, just waiting weeks, for your film to go out, get captioned, come back, and it's like, it's done in 7 minutes now. That's crazy. And the big plus for me was Victoria, she sent me the rough cut. I'm realizing now she sent it fully captioned. And in English, and I was like, oh my gosh, that easy. Who gets that done for the rough cut? You know, so nice.
Yeah, I remember for a short that I was getting ready for festivals that needed captions, I had to find a different service for it, and they charged you like by the minute. It was, it's really cool to just be able to do it in Premiere and not have to seek that out and find the best deal and add that to your budget.
Yeah, totally. I guess combining the last section with the text-based editing and now this auto-transcribing, caption creating, do you see these tools affecting how post-production is approached, like from right after shoot? Or like, I just would love to hear your guys' thoughts on how you might approach your next project knowing some of these skills.
Yeah, so I'm a writer and a director, and I'm kind of a ding-dong when it comes to tech and editing. And I'm also like, words work really well for me, and because I write a script, I know them really well. So to be able to see them and even have, like, I know it's on the timeline, but the little ellipse, the ... with you could click on it and it would say like 5 seconds. It, like, my brain understands that more than just like seeing on a timeline and being like, oh, well, that feels right, and stopping conversations with my editor. That's like, yes, but it's not the same. You said you wanted the same amount of time between every take or something, and I'll be like, but they're not. This one's longer, and they're like, no, they're like, and I don't know. So it really helps. I can see it really helping my communication with editors because it's kind of in more my language that I can edit with. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in the same way, like I'm the type to finish a shoot and go home with my toys and then like play with it in the sandbox. And it's essentially like dailies. It's just, I don't know, it's just kind of mind-blowing how quick you can put together a scene.
Yeah, totally. Well, we have one more tool before we start getting into general AI stuff, and that's enhanced audio. And recently Premiere, with this sort of most recent update with all these AI tools, has integrated a tool that was primarily used for podcast audio. And now you can just, with a click of a button, make somewhat poor sounding audio files sound very professional and very clean. So we have a short little examples of those, and we're going to talk about that afterwards.
So one of the Adobe AI features that I'm using in my film is the enhanced speech function. Basically, what we're looking at here is one of my performers trying to explain how they broke their computer. This is sort of what the sound sounds like before I've used the speech function.
Do you really think, honestly, that I was in the other room and then I dropped my computer?
So let's see what happens when we use this enhanced speech function. I'm a little lazy, so I just sometimes search for something straight from the help. Just search enhance speech function. I click that. I can see that it's already done very fast. So let's now take another listen.
Do you really think, honestly, that I was in the other room and then I dropped my computer?
So that's like pretty clean. I'd say that's like much, much cleaner.
I'm supposed to start signing with him right away. I'm sure you probably already know that. I'm supposed to start signing with him right away. I'm sure you probably already know that. I'm supposed to start signing with him right away. I'm sure you probably already know that.
So I guess the first thing that comes to mind with this stuff for me is how is this tool going to change how you approach production sound when you're filming? And because obviously that's, you know, audio is such an important part, half of the product, right? Is this going to become something that's sort of a crutch that you can lean on, or is this you know, how is this going to change your approach to production sound?
You go ahead.
I think it already, because I kind of like heard about it before Danny, and then during Danny there was a music festival like happening in the park that we were shooting in, and there was a weed festival, and I was like, okay, there's a lot of just people mingling, so rather than, you know, completely postponing, I was like, let's just shoot, and maybe that's a part of the vibe, but then in post I cleaned it up. There's like full on like crowds and stuff. Yeah.
I was going to say it depends on the nature of the project and the shoot. Like if I have some infrastructure and some budget, I would prefer to, you know, work with a human being sound designer and collaborate and get their input. But there's so many shoots that I've done where I don't have that. It's like someone kind of run and gunning sound, or you have your mic mounted to the top of your camera, and I still want those shoots to be audible, and I think that makes a huge difference in things where you don't really have as much time and resources.
Yeah, totally.
I feel like I've in the past have ruled out quite a few locations because of audio. So I think that and I love shooting outside, and sometimes crew, like my camera and sound people are like, ooh, bully. And for example, in the feature, which by the way, the gunshots, I heard some people giggling, and I was like, oh, I didn't explain this. We shot it on a lake, and where I grew up in Michigan, and there are 3 gun ranges that exist around the lake. So like, you hear gunshots all the time, and it's something I didn't even think about. So we got there, and Audie was like, yeah, we're gonna pick up all of this. And I was like, cool. Too bad we have to do it anyways. And I'm gonna tell a quick little story about our movie. So
Please do.
It was Disfluency was first a short film that played at NFFTY in 2018. Laura directed it, I wrote and produced. And then we turned it into a feature, and I directed it. And we shot it before COVID, and we edited it. So we shot it in 2019. So it's been a minute. It's coming out in August. But we edited it right after we shot, and then COVID, and then we did the final sound mix like a couple months ago. And this like AI audio technology is so advanced now between those like 2 years that we could do things we couldn't do 2 years ago. So when we first edited it, our sound designer and mixer, who is like one of the very best, Jackie Zhao, she's amazing. She was like, yeah, we can't really take this out. It would be like a really expensive and time consuming process that we couldn't do. And then 2 years later, when we sat down to do it, it was like drag and drop. So it's really, truly impressive and crazy. And there are a lot of things I look at with like a movie taking a long time, and I'm like, dang it. But with this, like our audio turned out like way better because of the new technology.
Yeah. So for a first-time filmmaker, this is probably pretty game-changing too, for someone who has no idea how to record separately from their camera, you know?
Well, because like in the first 2 videos where it was just me in my backyard, that was my laptop like sound.
Oh, no way.
And I was just like, and then it's weird because it doesn't just like take out that normalized like background, because I live near an airport, and it's just like constant. But it makes, I don't know, it just sound good.
Yeah. Yeah, it has when you guys have used it, do you do all, like, and there's like a little slider, right, that says like 0 to 10. Do you have like a sort of percentage of enhancement that you prefer using, or because 10 sometimes can be a little crunchy, a little crazy?
I think it depends.
Yeah.
I'm 10 all the way sometimes.
Very cool. Cool. Well, now we're gonna transition into overall AI in the industry. Things are changing every day. New things are coming out that are scary and exciting. And yeah, I guess before we open up general Q&As from the audience, I'd love to hear from our panel here what is exciting to you that's coming out, or what's scary to you about the stuff that you're seeing AI-wise in the industry.
Well, I was gonna say, like, these don't feel like AI. They just feel like tools, and you can kind of just like use them. Like, you know, there's some that there are some that are for documentary use, and you can just like use it everywhere, and it's just a nice tool that way. But they don't feel like generative AI.
Yeah, I guess you'd call them machine learning tools. Yeah, there's nothing really being generated, other than maybe some like, I don't know. With the audio enhancer, it feels like there's a bit of filling in the blanks, right? But yeah, Mart, do you have something to say?
Sorry. I think you've said it, Duncan. Thank you. Yeah, and I agree with that completely. And yeah, I agree with what Chris is saying as well. At the moment, these tools feel like they're getting us to the objective we already have for ourselves faster.
Just to throw an analogy, and it feels like we've brought all of the ingredients into the kitchen, and the meal is like mostly prepped. It's just on its way out to the table now, you know, and it's that little bit of refinement. It's mostly technical, that it's just kind of like cleaning things up, making our lives a little easier so far. But, you know, there haven't been that heavy of like a creative, a generative use yet, or a need for it yet, you know, in a lot of our projects. But you know, who knows where we're going to be next year, as I say that.
Yeah.
Like, I know that a lot of VFX houses are using AI to, you know, help with their rotomats, help with their, their de-aging software. So it's kind of cool to see that mix starting to happen. But yeah, I'm just not sure, you know, where it stands in terms of the fully generative content quite yet.
Yeah, I'm excited about the ways that it can make our lives easier as creatives and people who have to do a lot of like unpaid work to get work with things like pitches. And I'm excited about the accessibility potential for there. I think it like making things like captions easier just makes more content more likely to be inclusive for more people. So I think that's all really good. I also do some work as a voice actor, and it's been scary to like hear about how they want to just have AI do that. Like I don't know how you lean into the tools without it feeling dystopian. I like these ones. Yeah. These ones are nice.
So you said exciting and scary, and I think both of those are very true. I think AI is here. It's coming. It's going to come even faster, and it's going to be more ingrained. I read an article that was actually just a TikTok that, yes, that said, you know, AI is the biggest thing to hit us since the internet. And I think that it's going to be even bigger than the internet in so many ways, and it's going to become so ingrained in our life. And a big part of the strikes that just happened are because we are trying to protect ourselves from people just letting AI get out of control. And I have friends that work in animation who have had their work fed into systems and are now being combined with things and spit out without their consent. So I think it's really, really important for us as creatives to protect ourselves and keep an eye on it, because it's super important technology that we should not be afraid of, and we should use it. But we also need to, pay attention to laws, legislation, things in your unions. It's really important to continue keeping track and not just like look away from it, because it's going to keep moving so fast. So I just wanted to add that. But with that being said, it's super exciting, and for indie filmmakers, this is like a game changer. And I'm super stoked that more people can make more things and more accessible and all of that too.
Yeah, totally. Are there any outside of Adobe AI programs or tools that you guys are either excited to try or have tried and liked, or anything that comes to mind with that?
The quick one that isn't actually filmmaking, but I do music stuff too, and there's an app that can tell you, it can identify what guitar chord you're playing, which is nice if you play by ear and don't always know the names of chords, but then you want to share it with someone. Big fan.
There was because I'm also a colorist, and I saw a like I don't know if you've seen this, but it was like a film. It was like a color AI thing that matches cameras. So like you could pair like a random Panasonic GH4 with like a ARRI, and hopefully it can generally match it. But then you have to do a little bit more work to like obviously get your grade out. But I want to try that one.
Yeah, just building off that. I haven't actually used it, but I've seen them, and you know, if where they stand is true, that's super cool, because I've seen footage, you know, shot wrong color temperature come in that's supposed to be matched with, you know, tomorrow's sunset or something, and it's just like, oh dang, what am I gonna do? You know, having a tool that can get me, you know, 85% there, but it would be super helpful. But I feel like, you know, there's always gonna be that 15% taste that, you know, keeps us employed. It's like, okay, you know, we got to make the decision. That's where we want to go. You know, this is what's going to feel right for the entire project. So
yeah, totally. Sweet. Well, should we open it up to some questions from the audience here? Raise your hand. I see in the back there. Yeah, the question was, has anyone seen the new Firefly update within Premiere? Which is, we were talking about that for a second before the panel started, but
I've used the Photoshop one. The Photoshop AI generative is useful, you know, but it's only ever, I've personally only ever used it for like internal mock-ups, nothing that's actually, you know, leaving my bedroom kind of thing, you know, my clientele house. But, you know, it looks cool. It's just, it feels like it always takes a minute to actually get there, starting to create something again, you know, back to the like, okay, you know, this doesn't feel like it's me actually making it, or, you know, me morphing what I'm bringing. So I can't push this out the door and call it final. So
yeah, totally.
That's how I feel about it.
I've used the Photoshop AI. I've only used it for memes though. That's it.
That's a good use of AI. The question is, when enhancing AI, is the slider your only ability to control the level of enhancement, or if you can code into it?
I don't know if you can code into it, but there's a lot of options, and I haven't explored all of it. There's like there's you can like put in numbers and like up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff.
Slider is the most accessible form of it within the program when you pop up the essential audio window.
Yeah, you can mess with like the like boldness of certain voices, or you can even like dim it down, or even like change pitch and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool.
Any other questions in there? So the question is, will AI help with crazy work hours for people who are editors and video effects artists and stuff like that?
If I made the rules, yes, it would. And there would be universal basic income. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, kind of building off that, definitely. Just like the NLE, you know, really replaced like loading up a reel, loading up the decks, and, you know, cutting scene by scene. It feels like AI is kind of bringing us to that point of, you know, by Friday at 2 p.m. I can have my feet in the sand. I'm not, you know, working into the night over the weekend trying to, you know, resync dailies or transcribe audio. You know, it's there. You know, you get to save that time. So,
yeah, totally. Yeah. Yes, in the light, speak.
So that you went through the captions and you added a section to the captions and marked it where in the timesheet and everything. If you were to go back and then like take that away, would it cut the clip again? Just how it normally would with AI?
So when you edit the captions, I don't believe that it automatically goes back and edits the transcript. So if you went to the transcript and you made cuts there, yes. But if you just add captions and take them out, no. Because the captions, as you saw, came up as a separate, I'm not under what's the
Window or panel.
yeah, panel, separate piece on the timeline, like a whole new row on the timeline.
Yeah.
This is me again,
Yeah.
not knowing words, but yes. So no, if you just edit captions and move them around, no, it will not do that.
That's a great question.
These are the big questions. Dang. I'm less of an editor, but I will say I like a human hand in things and creativity and all of that, I think is always going to be a part of the process. And I think the role of editor will always exist. But then things like support positions, I don't know exactly what happens to that. I don't know if y'all want to speak more on that because you're more in those spaces than me.
It's predictions here.
Yeah. I think like what you said, the AI stuff is like full steam ahead, and all we can do is kind of pay attention to it. But in terms of like the future of editing, I think it's like, in a way, we're gonna have to be a little bit like, what are those people that handle AI called? They're just like, huh?
Oh, no, sorry. I was just saying like, oh yeah, the role that babysits AI is already existing.
Yeah, it's gonna be split between editor and like AI wrangler.
I kind of lost the train of my thought when when that derailed. But no, I think the answer to all of the what is the future looking like with AI, the answer is just going to be story. What does our stories dictate? Where do we want to take things? That's something that AI is never going to replace. And so that just feels like the catch-all answer. It's like, okay, where do we want this to take? What's our voice saying of where we want to take a project, and how are we going to do it? Because people are still shooting film for the aesthetic. We're well beyond the point of being able to replicate almost any film look. Gate weave, halation, grain, everything. But people still shoot film on medium format, large format, just for the heck of it, And I feel like that's kind of what the future of AI is looking like. We're choosing to do these things because that's our craft. That's how we tell these stories. Is that too good of an answer?
Yeah, we hope we can have somewhat of a choice in the matter of where it goes. Mar, I saw you grab the mic.
Sure. I think I have a hopeful contribution to make. Great question. And I think maybe the goal of some of these tools is to be empowering to the artist. And I would like to think that the editor is still someone in the future that is selected for their vision, and the editor position in the future, maybe it's working with just these new tools that are available, but there's still some vision to the use of the tools that this particular individual has that would probably make them fit for that role.
Yeah, just to add on to that, I was thinking about your question, like from the point of view of working as a director, and I think about all the things that my editor brings to the table, and even if I were in a place where I could now technically know the program as well as him because it's that easy, as well as them, I still would want to be working with an editor and trust them for that part of the storytelling process, like someone who has the kind of mind that does that and crafts story in that way.
When you're auto-generating captions, is it its own separate layer or channel?
Is it its own thing, or is it just registered as a text?
It is. It's like literally its own.
Yeah.
Not even its own random like layer. It's in its own lane. Like you kind of
When it comes to the captioning, there were I did the video with the joint, the joint rolling and the changing the word flip to flick. There are still this is not perfect. It's very, very helpful, but you're still going to need a person to go through and watch and double check every single line, which is a step in the process that happens regardless of how you do captioning, regardless if a human being captions something, somebody goes back and double checks it. So I still think that there's a ways to go, but I think in terms of utilization. I think that people are going to, I think using this tool is going to be standard, and if there's other tools like it, in like within the next year, if that, I think it's just tremendously helpful. But again, still that, human check that we have to do. And with a lot of AI things, I mean, I'm pretty sure we've all read things about AI, watched a lot of videos on it, things like that. It's not perfect. It's still a program, and it's not thinking for itself.
Yes.
Which maybe we will be in the Matrix in 100 years, but not now.
Any other questions? I see one in the far back. Yeah, how do you feel about your artistic style potentially being replicated by generative AI?
I think that once something's on the internet, like there's a phrase, like once it's on the internet, it's out there forever, and it's going to be. So I think it will happen. And I'm really, really curious to see how some of these, people are suing, how some of the ethics and trials shake out. I am worried about it, but I'm also confident enough, I suppose, in what I'm doing to feel like I'll always be able to create my own things, and that I can't fully be replicated, if that makes sense. But no, it doesn't feel good when people are taking things without your consent. But I do feel artistically like we all additionally like replicate other people's styles in our own work. So it's kind of a natural evolution in creativity to a certain extent. But the way it's happening right now is not okay. So I guess that's my opinion and thoughts on it. I don't have like an answer, but I hope that ethics, we can all kind of ethically work towards a better system for sure.
Yeah, I feel like I feel negatively about it. And in terms of the legality of it, it's like we're still in this clunky area of trying to figure out how to properly handle copyright and ownership on the internet in general. I feel like that's like all the technology has moved so fast from even like streaming being a thing and like, okay, how do we pay writers and actors now? That's changed. Like all of it moves so quickly that we're kind of just like behind. And I do think that people deserve compensation if their art is teaching AI. And I know that there are interests fighting against that. I don't know how it'll play out, but I feel like artists certainly deserve the compensation.
I think it scares me, but also I also just I trust Adobe. Like a lot of these tools being like made in Adobe's hands, because I think I was talking to like a graphic designer at a random event, and he was like, all of the generative stuff like in Photoshop. I haven't looked into the Firefly thing, but all of the generative stuff is like stock photos within Adobe and like licensed and stuff like that. So in that way, they're doing it okay.
That's how it should work, where they've licensed it.
Yeah. Any more questions right here? Yeah. What's going to happen to the assistant editor?
I do think that role, and I don't know a timeline, and this is just based off of what I know. I do think that role could shift more into, I think that these AI tools are things we should think of as tools, and that being an AE is still really important. Something I'm concerned about in this industry is a lot of these more entry-level job roles are where you learn a lot. So assistant editors, I've heard like script coverage is already being put through AI and cranking out summaries, and even like how good is this script? And it can, to a certain point, it can kind of weed out from like a pile of 1,000 down to like the 500 or whatever that are more of quality, whatever it is. But taking away like script coverage jobs or assistant editor jobs going away and people not having as much opportunity to learn, that's what I'm most worried about. I don't have a full answer to that, but I don't think that like an AE is just going to disappear. They're so important to the process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even at the mid to lower budget level, there's a lot of lazy editors, and the AE is not disappearing anytime soon. So,
yeah, especially if they can use these tools, they will.
It'll make their lives easier.
A very
right?
nice short work day for them. Yeah. Anybody else out there? Yeah. I guess, does anyone have any thoughts on how now knowing these tools, how your next production might be different as you approach it?
The first thing that came to mind was something that you were talking about with location, just of like what locations are viable and what aren't. I feel like that's the sound has been such a huge part of like choosing locations, and there are all sorts of things that are now probably viable that weren't before.
I'm going to write way more stuff next to waterfalls and just be like, the audio's going to be crispy because we have the technology now. That's really cool. I think that's awesome because as indie filmmakers, we write within our means a lot of the time. We know what we're writing things that we have access to. So, yeah.
That's a really big question, and it's we will see soon. I think how that's going to change things. But again, there has been like maybe 20 or 30 years ago, IBM Watson made a AI video editor, and they made them look through all of these movie trailers to design a movie trailer, and they did it, and the machine made a pretty good trailer, but I don't think Watson's around anymore. Yeah. All right, one more question. Any other tools similar to this stuff that we'd like to see implemented into an editing program?
I haven't dug into like the sharing option as much, but it works kind of like Frame.io. It's in the new beta version of Premiere, so I'm really looking forward to looking at that because anything that'll make things like I use Google Docs all the time to like take notes with somebody looking at the same thing, and if we can do that more with editing, that'd be great.
I'm not sure if Adobe has it, but it's like the AI color balancing tools. Like I want to set a look on a scene, and then the next 45 shots just get copy pasted, and then watch it through, do my dial, do my little tweaks, and yeah.
All right, I think we did it. Thank you guys for coming.